Welcome into another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your hut lineup decisions. To all my fellow PlayStation players out there, it is a dark time right now. As of this recording, PlayStation's been down for, I believe, like 14 hours, something like that. Reminds me of like 2011 when it was out for like a week or whatever. That was crazy. Nonetheless, I was going to do a ranking video of the Four Nations event and all of that, but I wanted to kind of show some other things in the video. So I'm going to wait until PlayStation's back up. Hopefully look forward to that tomorrow. I do want to touch on the fantasy event cards. I've gotten a lot of questions about them. Honestly, guys, the cost is absurd. These players are not going to hit 99 outside of some sort of miracle, but they are like fun to have, like, because it makes the Four Nations event better. What I'd recommend is just do the B&D set for 6 fantasy collectibles if you really want a fantasy card. All 4 are pretty equal across the board. That being said, if you have not, or if you started later in the year, or you didn't partake in the fantasy event when it first came out, go and look at the moments. Go all the way over until the fantasy moments. You can earn 4 fantasy hockey collectibles in those moments. Do all of them. That is basically a free B&D card for everyone that's grinded fantasy hockey. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do that again, but for anyone that has not done those moments, make sure you take advantage of that. That's just great value. So in today's video for Who Should You Choose, I'm going to start at the bottom because in a prior video this week, I started at the top and went for the newest comment first. I'm going to go with the people who commented first. There was a couple early on. Croyer, just giving me props. Thank you guys again for watching. My man Jordan, hope all is well, Jordan. Four Nations Day, baby. Start of Hut Week is Friday for the content trend. Me, an offline player who hardly ever maxes out objectives. Yeah, like I talked about this, that, you know, the start of the Hut Week is kind of all over the place. I personally think it's Fridays because of that new event, but Wednesdays just make so much sense because it's when the objectives that we all chase roll over. Thanks for answering all my questions in stream. I've built a solid team this year. Take care. Again, guys, if you ever want your question answered, I don't get it to you here, and you've asked a number of times, just come into my Twitch channel. If you don't use Twitch, try it out. The link is down below, twitch.tv/nosleeves12. I'm live in the afternoons when PlayStation Network's not down, and I'll be happy to answer your questions immediately in chat, okay? So I don't feel, even if I'm playing a different game, feel free to ask. So always want to point that out. Vengeance says, bonjour, hope all is well, buddy. I'm looking to make a few more hollows from the vintage side. I'm making Gordy. I have 2 icons in the modern that I pulled, both untradeable, and I don't know who I should make as my next modern hollow. Here's my lineup. He's got McKinnon and Thompson, Kucherov, Dvorsky, Larkin, Heisey. In terms of the modern, you've already got Sundin. On defense, you've got Colt Keller, Hedman, Makar, Hollow, or it's probably Niedermeyer, man. I think Niedermeyer is a very underrated, very good, or Lidstrom, in terms of the modern hollows. Hey, Slaves, I hope you're having a great weekend. I have a question about the value of buying a Team of the Year post-event. I was super lucky this year in preparing for Team of the Year event and was able to get all the cards I was aiming for, minus Spooner. I was close to scraping together enough resources to make it on Friday, but couldn't get it done. I have about 600K at the moment. With a little luck, I could grind to get to 1 million and see if I could buy Spooner off the auction house. Can you look into your crystal ball and see if Team of the Year cards are going to be worth their value in coins over the next few events? I have a gut feeling that EA will release some really powerful cards in the upcoming events, and I have a feeling having coins on hand is the best way to take advantage of new releases. When you're looking for a specific card, always best to just have coins, for sure. I said this at the beginning of the year, and even with all of the changes, it still rings true. Now, when it comes to Team of the Year, you're not going to see a Team of the Year card probably under $1 million at least, especially because everyone has a lot of coins, or there's just a lot more coins in the market this year. One thing to note is that EA does not care if there's year-long chase cards. They will demolish the value of those cards by releasing future just as powerful ones. It was leaked the other day that the Connor Hellebuck looks to be getting a Captain X Factor. And while he won't upgrade for free, X Factors upgrade very, very cheap this year. So for anyone that made Connor Hellebuck, like, yeah, you get all of his abilities activated for free and all of that. But you're going to be able to just make his Captain X Factor. I don't know when, but eventually. It's just, I don't know when that's going to happen. In terms of the other cards, yeah, the way that Team of the Year's upgrade is by other future cards of that player upgrading. So you're definitely going to see upgrades for them. Hey, can you recommend a fantasy card that's worth buying on the auction house? I know all the high-end ones are crazy expensive, and the ones that performed really poorly are not worth it. Is there ones that you think there's a sweet spot? It's usually defensemen, and the reason is because, like, for example, like OEL, but they're still gonna be so expensive, and you're assuming all risk. The reason why it's usually defensemen is because every goal is +2, so they just need to score less. Obviously, they are going to score less inherently, but they can score in bunches, and that dramatically changes them. There probably isn't with coins if you missed the event, man. Hey, Slaves, love your content from Finland. Which NHL 25 player do you think is the most underrated and why? Can you share any tips on how to effectively utilize them in gameplay? Ooh, underrated. Mark Scheifele cards are always underrated. He's big. He's usually pretty quick. Like, historically, he's been super underrated. I just think that smaller players in general are underrated still. If you have a smaller player, like I'm talking like under 6 foot, Brad Marchand is a perfect example from the MSP from the Four Nations event. If they have like elite edges or something to utilize their usually good skating, it's just very hard to hit in this game. Very, very hard to hit. And I think this year more than any other, it's viable to use smaller players for sure. Not 5'5". You're gonna have some issues there, but you don't have to be super scared of using someone under 6 foot because you feel like they're never gonna be able to hold on to the puck. It's just very hard to hit this year. I started Hut Champ 7-1, and now it's been nothing but the sweatiest L tours ever. I'm 7-5. That's matchmaking, brother. I mean, Hut Champs, if you're in Division 2, even Division 3, Division 2 probably is the cutoff, but you're in Division 2, Hut Champs is just easier until the second set of 10 games. Like the first 10 games, you are playing anyone, and yes, you will have games against top 100 players, but you'll also have games against players that are like in Division 5 or 4, right? So it will be easier for you, but then you will hit that plateau. Like you will match up against very good players, and after about doing like 5 to 10 Hut Champs runs, you will fall into that range of wins every week. I'm 12 to 14, for example. It's just no matter what happens, that's usually where it'll end up. Ace leaves line of question. I have fantasy Garland, McKinnon, and Kyrou for my wingers. The problem is I have team of the year Heisey and Lemieux. Who should be winger and who should be center of these? Heisey should probably be center. I think she has the highest face-off. And then it's Lemieux as well because he's just big. That'd probably be the play. Hey, Sleeves, am I the only one who doesn't get production out of my team of the year? McDavid, McKinnon, and McCarr. I've been using the forwards for the past week online and literally have one goal between the two during 10 games played. They are on my first line. I have no money spent. I've been playing since launch, so I've been grinding and collecting cards for these S tier cards, but it doesn't seem to be worth it anymore. I've also been Div 3 for almost the year, most of the year, getting crushed lately, and now I'm in Division 4. Also, what's a good ping rate? These team of the year cards don't seem to be the fastest when I use them. Thanks for input. Number one, you're going up against players that have these cards as well. So I'll give you an example. If you have Fantasy Pareko, if you've had Fantasy Pareko since the event, even still right now, he is just different. Like when you have the puck with him, it's different. It's hard to defend against him. It's just different. When you get these team of the year cards where everyone has the opportunity to make them, everyone made the same ones. This is one of the issues with team of the year, right? The other issue is that with wheels and elite edges, it appears that there is an endurance issue. Like they just wipe out their energy very quickly. It's very frustrating. Someone brought up to me that it forces you to use your full lineup, and I agree. The issue is that when you're playing online, one shift would be is 2 minutes in game. That's like 15 seconds. Right. And it feels like every line has that because the endurances are so low. And it just seems like my first line plays as much as my fourth line. And it's just super frustrating. And it's because of the game speed. It's very hard to emulate because in a real life hockey game, obviously, with the time being much slower, full 20-minute periods, you can, you start to see the time on ice allocate much further. But I have been struggling with Makar. You're going to see that in my No Money Spent video, specifically Makar. I don't know why, but again, you have to understand, look at who else you're going up against. If they're on your first line, you're going up against other teams' first lines, and that's just going to be tough no matter what. Quick passes and proper zone entry got me to Div 3. I was stuck in high Div 4 for about 60 games before that. Yeah, I mentioned this a number of times. When you are stuck at a plateau, you need to change something in your game systemically. It needs to be a new strategy. It needs to be how you break the puck in, a play that you look for in the offensive zone, a play that you use to set up a one-timer, for example. These don't need to be crazy and intuitive. The lower the division are, the less you actually need to change. But that being said, it's just usually one thing will get you up a couple more wins, and you stack those, and that's how you get a little bit better. Like I mentioned, the easiest one for if you can get to 1900 skill rating in Division 2, you really just need to master the L2 glitch down the boards, and that will get you close. That's really what it is. And patience as well in Division 2, because you're just holding onto the puck waiting for an open one-timer. I play directional hitting in MLB. Sir, MLB is one button. Dude, I mean, yeah, MLB is one button, but it takes a lot more. It's so funny. I say this about MLB. It is so much easier to get to Division 2 in MLB than it is compared to NHL. It is infinitely harder to go from Division 2 in MLB to Division 1, that'd be World Series, than it is to go from Division 2 in NHL to Division 1. Not even close. It's almost like you're born with it, just like baseball. You can either hit a curveball or you can't. When it's because you go on to legend difficulty, and like the reaction time required is just absurd on that difficulty. So, congrats to the NHL event. I've always thought your play-by-play was excellent. This is very cool. It's I will be at the Four Nations Faceoff event in Montreal. Really excited for it. It is my first opportunity with the NHL to host and cast an event. It'll be the Creator Skills. So it's a little 3-on-3 tournament at the Bell Center. I'll have some more stuff posted about it, but like Nasher and all the big hockey creators will be playing, and I will be the host. Really excited for it. Really nervous for it. It's one of those things where if it goes well, who knows where it'll take me. If it doesn't go well, you only really get one shot at these things. So, Hossa is without a doubt the best team builder. So slept on. His cards are always unreal. I'm probably biased towards him, but I score more with him than any other because of his handling and his shot. He'll be on my team until a higher version comes out. Love this. I think that too often, a lot of people will come to me and they'll ask, what card should you make? And I'll be happy to answer that, right? In my opinion is, but there are just some cards where they will just play better for you or worse. I'll give you an example. Elias Pettersson cards or Mitch Marner cards, I have literally never been able to score or do anything with. I'm talking like since like NHL 18. Just is what it is. I don't know what it is. Those two cards, like either it's the build or what. I just never have success with those cards. And Nathan McKinnon cards up until about 2 years ago was the same kind of thing. I don't know what it was. Just could never get Nathan McKinnon cards going. And it's the same for, your favorite players as well. I find in almost every game, the best players that I play with are the early high-rated defensemen. So the team builder Patrice Brisebois, for example. I'm thinking this might be NHL 20, but the retro, remember when they did those retro cards like the NHL 94 with the sprites of like Yzerman and Roenick? There was I think it was called Classics, the Rasmus Dahlin, Miro Heiskanen's Lit versus Grit card. Like it's usually those, and I don't know why, but those are usually like my best players. But I completely agree. You find a card you like and you play well, 100%. And if you find these cards, guys, take note of their handedness. Something that I talk about quite a bit throughout the year. It's been a minute since I mentioned this, but go into your stats. And while the stats screen is scuffed and it doesn't save everything, but sort by your goals, and then look through your top 5 goal scorers on your team. Check out what handedness they are. What position do they play, right? And then understand that when you're talking about trying to break a tie of what cards you should go after in future events, prioritize the ones you do well with. Don't try and bring up the ones that aren't doing well for you, because in other positions, simply like if all of your left-handed wingers are the only way you score, right? Don't replace a left-handed winger or go and get a right-handed winger that spend all your coins instead of upgrading your left-handed winger, because it's how you play. It might not be the card, right? Like, so the way that everyone has 2 or 3 goals they always go for, whether you can call them glitch goals or not. Everyone has the safety net of, okay, I'm cycling around. This is the play I'm looking for. And the higher the difficulty, the higher the skill rating you get to, the more that you have in your toolbox. But for the most part, everyone has like roughly the same goal, and that usually comes from the same position or two. So always prioritize that as well. And I feel like if you go and look at the stats screen, a lot of people don't realize this, that you just don't score with right-handed wingers, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just don't. So don't worry about right-handed wingers as much, right? So always something that I try and preach to people. Hey, Slaves, I pulled a couple of 90s and sold them to get Madonna. Paid a hefty price for him, 550K. I'm debating reselling him, but I don't know what I'm want to do because I'm sure his price will eventually drop. But his Team Builder card was one of my favorite cards last year, and I'm having a lot of fun playing with him, but I feel by the time his price drops, he won't be as good. I'm also very close to Larkin, so he will need a spot as well. Do I remove, because synergies won't allow me to remove hosts yet, unless, in your opinion, two-way forward synergy isn't worth keeping active if I have someone else? Two-way forward isn't really super important other than like your center. But you want to prioritize sniper forward. It's really good. Agility boost, playmaking forward, because agility is one of the more important synergies. Those would be the ones. Two-way defenseman is very big as well. That being said, this is like everyone kind of gets stuck in like oh man, I'm going to run out. I don't want to lose coins by using this player too long. If you're doing well with them, just enjoy it and play with them. Don't always worry, because when you get the coins, what are you spending them on? You don't even know, right? You're just worried about the investment cost. Play the game. That's all I'm going to say. Just focus on playing the game. But that's going to do it for me for this episode. Hopefully PlayStation Network is back up. I'll be able to do the ranking video tomorrow, going over all the fantasy cards as well as the MSPs. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.